Oh my goodness. Good Monday morning, everybody. We were having a lot of fun backstage, which is why, oh my goodness, it's going to be a really fun Monday conversation. But you guys listening to me, Amy Russell Sandy's joining us today for Author Talk. Our lovely author guest is Kim Lengling. So, you guys, let's dive in. But before we dive into this weekend, because I know I'm going to throw Russell a curveball here, and he does not like curveballs, Kim, just FYI. I have breaking news that I think is more important than how my weekend.
You have audio trouble too.
No, I'm just running away from my mic, Russell. I'm trying
Well,
to.
don't.
Oh, anyway.
Russell, be quiet. I want to hear what the breaking news is.
Well, so would our podcast listeners.
Oh my goodness. Anyways,
he's on fire today.
he is.
I'm always precious.
He is. He is.
He's
I was
just
on
feisty.
strict good behavior when I was on your podcast, Kim.
Of
And by the
course.
way,
You must
Kim
have been.
has the greatest podcast. I had so much fun being a guest for her. She is so good at her job.
And
It's
I
a
can
great
just get
show.
that just from reading her all about her on her website and her Facebook and all that. Yeah, Kim, I think that's exciting.
Oh my goodness. So
This
you
is
guys,
a different kind of podcast, Kim.
yeah, this one is more, it's much different than yours. But let's dive into it. So if you guys are Amazon best-selling authors, you guys receive your sticker, right, that you can put on the cover of your book. You would think, being an Amazon bestseller, that you could put that baby up there, you know, your cover with that seal of approval up on Amazon. You cannot. Amazon has started unpublishing books that have that seal on their cover and making you go back to your OG cover. So this is late breaking. It was like a huge shitstorm last week when this kind of broke, and we have had kind of these experiences going on. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, if you have that emblem on your cover, which I believe most of my people do not, because I like crisp and clean covers. I don't like them ate up with a lot of stuff. But if you have it on there, you should pull it down and put back up your original one without that seal to avoid Amazon unpublishing it. We all know that KDP can be a headache at times, not as bad as Ingram Sparks, but they can be a headache at times. So you want to make sure that you're ahead of the curve and playing by the rules of the game, so your book does not get unpublished and you have to go through the hassle of having them put it back up. So make sure that you go and do that if you haven't already. It was late breaking. A bunch of people in the industry were talking about it last Thursday. It broke on Friday in terms of every connection that I have. And I waited, I know, nicely till Monday to tell all of you guys. So that way you guys can be aware of it. Stay ahead of the curve, you guys. Crazy times. Crazy times.
I like that curveball. That's a good curveball.
It was worth it.
News.
Yeah.
It was worth it, and the whole weekend. So weekends we'll dive in because Kim, you know, Russell likes to give me a lot of hate. So I'm going to dive into it and it'll be much quicker. So I took my kids to the fall festival that my neighborhood was putting on. You guys know I moved into a new neighborhood and like all smancy stuff. So we went to the fall festival, had a lot of fun. Kids got face painted and everything like that. Josh has taken off. He is he's heading to Fort Worth. But I asked him, this is the greatest part, Russell, and I know you're going to give me shit for it. But I asked him, I said, hey, are you going to listen to my show in the car? Because Josh never listens to my show, which is why I can talk a lot of crap about Josh because he doesn't listen. So
I know. I always try to defend him.
I don't know why. So I asked him, I said, hey, you have like a 2.5 hour car ride. You can listen to my show. It's at 10 if you want to tune in, right? Because he's getting more curious about the whole just writing community. He said, oh, I can't have people in the car. I said, well, you just gave me your seal of approval that I can talk hot crap about you on my show because you're not listening. So needless to say, Josh is traveling to do all that. Left me alone to single parent my kids. I have soccer, which I have to sit out in this unbelievable heat and watch both kids do soccer. We have gymnastics going on top of all of that. And, you know, I have pissed off the PTO of Meadow School. So, needless to say, I've only been room mom for like, I don't know, less than a month. We haven't even had our party. And I've pissed off the PTO of Meadow School where we all have gotten this nasty email. They refuse now to communicate with me. So, you know, it's been a really fun weekend. I've upset people.
I warned you about being that mom.
Good job.
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you.
Now, Russell, to be fair, the man in which you defend, Joshua, is what we shall call him, he's the one that signed me up for Room Mom. And I just ruffled feathers.
Well, then you need to take that out in blood with him.
Blood. I love it. But what all did you guys do this weekend? I hope it was more eventful and less pissy than mine. So who wants to dive in first?
Okay, Kim will. Good.
My first and probably only granddaughter, her first birthday was this weekend. So we had her party, and it was very exciting stuff, watching her turn 1 and, crawl around with all the family and friends and eating her cake. And that was really very, very special day. So that just made my whole weekend.
Oh, I love it.
That would. I love grandchildren.
Oh, I'm loving every second of being a grandma. Every single second of it.
That is too precious. Russell, what did you do?
Okay. Well, first I have to tell a story based upon what Kim just said, and then I want to tell you the best thing that happened this weekend.
Okay.
I have 3 kids. So and my oldest son, the middle child, is like his father, which means that we're pigs. We love to eat. That's a thing. It's something you have to fight all your life. And now that he's an adult, he's realizing the bad side of being a pig. But when he was a little boy, when he was about 8, his little brother had his first birthday party, just like your granddaughter did this weekend. And my wife made this beautiful little cake for him. And at his first birthday party, we let him reach in and play with his cake. And, it had so much fun. And the funniest thing is his older brother, Will, cried because he was ruining the cake, so he couldn't eat it. That was so funny. We still give him grief about that to this. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Do you know the old style, the out of date manners that just a few people have preserved? Yeah, most of us don't do some of the things that maybe our grandparents did, or my grandfather was a cowboy, so he didn't do any of it, but that my grandmother might have done. And so when you come across one of these very few people that have preserved these beautiful old customs, it's like this treasure that you come across. And I was in a podcast with a lady, and now I had her name all ready to go. Her name's Catherine. Her whole name, Catherine Hayes. She is a writer that Kim, have you done a podcast with her?
Yes.
Did she send you one of those beautiful letter emails afterwards that was so gracious, thanking you for doing it? Oh my gosh. So this weekend, I did the podcast last week with her. It was a great podcast. There were 3 authors. And then this weekend, she sent this incredibly gracious email, but it was really a letter, just an email because it's modern, to the podcaster and each one of the authors. And it was this long letter that was so polite that reminded me of something from the 30s that someone that had been trained properly at that time would have sent. It was just beautiful. And I just wanted to recognize her because that was, I had a great weekend, but nothing as great as I did all weekend was as great as that letter that Catherine sent out. And I just wanted to acknowledge it. She blew me away with it. So you got one too, Kim?
I did.
I want one. You made it sound wonderful. I want one.
You should.
It just sounds nice.
Yeah, they are.
Honestly,
It is.
really shows us, and honestly, it kind of goes along with your book, Kim. The Nuggets. It's coming out in November. Nuggets of Hope. I think it was. I'm not looking at it, but I love that. I mean, when you do things with like the kindness, just a little thank you like that, which, who knows how much effort she put into it, but whatever.
She put effort in it. It was
Yes,
a
she did.
serious thank
Oh
you
my
letter.
gosh.
Very gracious.
That is I love that. I love that story.
Well, Amy, we need to have Catherine on our show. So afterwards, maybe you'll get a letter.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Well, now I feel like my thank yous on the show, which I will completely admit they're not going to be like that.
Yeah, mine pale as well. So I have to work on
Yeah,
mine.
I am very much just condensed to the point. You're awesome. Come back. Here's your link. Have a great rest of your Monday.
But this is
Like,
more than that. Amy, this is more than that. This is a completely a complete effort that shows that this is kind of a part of her.
I know.
And so that's why it meant so much when I got it, because I was like, whoa, this tells so much about her mother, her family, who she is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're saying I need to do more better.
No, I'm just saying we need to have her on the show so you get one of these beautiful letters too.
I know. I know. I know. It's yeah. I can't believe we're already in the middle of October, you guys. Like I've been in a whirlwind since June. So yes. Russell, I will make it happen. Okay. I will make it happen for you, my dear, dear friend. I'll make it happen. Sandy, what did you do?
I worked on this project I'm working on most of the weekend. It's a podcast directory that I'm working on with Amy's team, helping do some of the research. But I am just finding so much information, and I'm spending way more time than I should be just reading all the stuff that I find. But all kind of lists of reviewers, of authors, of blogs, blog tours. Excuse me, and as I'm looking at it, I'm like, my gosh, if I'd had something like this back when I was working with you, Russell, I would have never gotten to the end of this list of places and people to contact. So I had fun doing it, really, all day Saturday. Excuse me. Yesterday, I have a friend whose husband's in the hospital, and I spent the afternoon with them in the Sugarland Methodist, and then got halfway home and realized I left my phone there and had to turn around and drive all the way back.
Yeah, you sound like my wife.
Oh my goodness.
I know, I couldn't help it, Kim. I couldn't help it. I always get in
tried.
trouble.
He puts it in there.
I need to thank the people
I
that listen. I need to thank the people that listen to our podcast. Most people don't watch us live, Kim. Most people listen to us on our podcast during the week. We're top 10 independent book podcast in America. We're very excited about it, very humbled by it. And we thank the people that listen. I could never find us on the podcast until Amy did a reboot of, I don't even know what she did, but all of a sudden I could find us. Amy, where can people find us?
Russell, we just rebranded in Amy's favorite colors. That's all we did. Actually, Dina rebranded us. I just told her the colors and what I kind of wanted. So you guys know Dina. She's been on here several times. She's the one Sandy's talking about. She has a whole book directory of podcasts, blogs, everything, reviewers, everything that an author needs. And she has a whole directory. And Sandy, I understand and agree with you. I have yet to get to the end of sending those emails for reviews anyways. So yes, I can agree with you. But to answer Russell's question, you guys, anywhere that you can look for a podcast, you can hear us. Amazon Music, Spotify, Good Pods, Apple. If you're an, Apple user, your iTunes. If you're an Android user like me, you can use Google Play to find us. Make sure you just type in Author Talk, look for the crimson, red, and gold. Our Author Talk is in gold. Click on that and you can find every episode we have done, from our OG originals of Sandy and Russell down at Russell's place when he lived in Houston and me just popping on every now and then, to the latest one, and this one will be up right after. But if you want to come on over and engage with us and leave us a comment and see, the fun that we have and to make fun of us, laugh with and at us, because I do both, come on over to our YouTube channel, any one of our social media platforms. Author Talk has a group that you can be a part of if you want to. We love engaging and hearing what you guys have to say, making sure that your questions get answers as well as ours, because, Sandy's one that taught me that every author has a story behind being an author, which is what we tried to dive into. So, Sandy, with all that being said, let's get Kim talking about her latest book, Nuggets of Hope. So, dive in. Russell, try to contain yourself of all this kindness and happiness that's going to happen. Right. Contain yourself.
Because, Russell, this is my kind of book, not yours. I understand that. But it should be your kind of book, too. You might want to, read it just to be sure, because I know these nuggets, some of the ones I read. And I wanted to say, Amy, before I start, that we are, and y'all didn't mention that we're in the top 10% or top 100 or what is it on Good Pods.
Top 10 independent book podcasts.
And so Kim's podcast is also in the top, I forget, in the top few on Good Pods, right, Kim?
It was top 50.
Top 50.
I'm not surprised. And by the way, I must defend myself for a second. And that is, I do know Kim because I have been on her show. She is spectacular. So I'm confident about the book.
Russell, I will back you up on this statement, Kim. So, Russell had sent me a text message, and the moment he saw your name, he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited. I've been on her show. She's great. And I'm so excited for the show." Now, if anyone knows Russell, if anybody knows Russell, okay, we all know that he does not do that. That is not a Russell thing. He does not do that unless he is thoroughly excited about who we have on. So, Kim, you should feel special because he doesn't even do that for me at all. So I bow to you. You are so special. Oh my goodness.
And he rarely gets thoroughly excited.
So. I am humbled, Russell. Thank you very much for that.
And we love giving Russell a hard time, and mainly because he's given me a hard time for as many years as I've known him. So this is just like payback is what it is when I get a chance to be on here with Russell. But I do love Russell, and Russell taught me a lot actually when I first started working with him. So now that's enough about good stuff about Russell. We're going to move to Kim and good stuff about her, because Kim, I found so many wonderful things on your website. I love your books about animals and pets and dogs. I love that it's a dog who is your office manager. So I love that. And you have a lot of great stories, and I love dogs, period. And I didn't know I did until a few years ago when I rescued a little Chihuahua who I fell madly in love with.
That's not a dog. That's a rat.
It's a dog. It's a little tiny dog, and I love little tiny dogs. And now, when I was in Mexico recently, excuse me, my throat is just really giving me a rough time today. But I was in Mexico, and somebody told me about these Chihuahuas that were on their way to the wherever they take them. And I went to look at them, and one of them looked just like my Chihuahua, like a younger version. So I'm like, I have to have this dog. I have to take it back to the United States with me. So anyway, that's my story. And I know you have lots of stories. So how did you get this affinity of talking to dogs and working with pets?
I just love animals and always have been. I'm one of those people that prefers to be outside, out in nature, out in the woods. I have no problem sitting very quietly outdoors and just, the deer will walk by or come up, or, the critters. It's my family jokes. And they're like, they call me, you're Kim, you're going to be that old lady in her 80s that they call the crazy bird lady or the crazy animal lady. And I'm like, that would be the best title to have.
I can see that for you. And oh my gosh, I love it.
I would love it. So I love all animals. I live in the country, and I'm very blessed by that because I'm surrounded by woods and fields. So every day I have deer coming through the back of my property. I've got all manner of critters, and dogs, though, for me have just always been special. And I feel like I have, like you used the word affinity. I have an affinity with them. For whatever the reason is, I connect with them deeply on a deeper level, I think, than maybe some folks do. And when I look at them, at least the ones I've had, and all my dogs have been rescues. So when I meet them for this first time, and I typically rescue them from a kill shelter. And so if they look me directly in the eyes and I sit there and go, oh, there's more than a dog in there. Then I'm
love that.
Then I'm like, you gotta come home with me, sweet pea. So that's how I've gotten my dogs, and just by looking at them, because some of them might be crazy, or they're filled with fear and uncertainty, and they might have come from a traumatic experience or something really awful when you get to them in the shelter. And so I took it upon myself to learn as much as I could of how to safely and calmly let the dog settle into my home. And it takes 3 months, So as I learned that, and all the different little tricks and stuff that you can use to make sure they feel comfortable and that you're a safe place, they don't need to be fearful anymore. Once you have that, it's a ridiculous blessing. My dog blesses me every single day, and they all have their own personalities. And so, of course, he's featured in both of the Paw Prints books, Paw Prints on the Couch and Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor. He's featured. He gave the introduction in the last book from his point of view, with his words. So it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things. One of my quirks. I can look at him, say, okay, there's more than a dog in there. And then his voice comes through to me as like a 12-year-old boy. So cocky.
I absolutely love it.
And my other dog, I called him the old man. His name was Digger. I had him for 14 years. I still miss him today. He was that one for me. And I always called him, he was the wise one. So he always came through like a 75-year-old man, because he always had these nuggets of wisdom and very wise and taught lessons every day. So that's how his voice came through to me. And yeah, that's just, I don't know, just something I do.
And Kim, I thought of so many questions to ask you about that. We could spend the rest of the entire time talking just about the animals and your experiences. Because I think I love that. And I have that relationship with my first Chihuahua. I tell him, you're my person. Yeah. And I know him. I love him. And he's 14 years old. So I'm not going to say any more about that because I won't be able to talk. So anyway, let's go to your book before I lose it totally here. So I love on your website, you're called the Queen of the Realm, too. Just FYI, I think that's really cool. So tell me about your books. You've got a lot of books, one new book coming out, Nuggets of Hope. But how did you start writing about the kindness, acts of kindness?
It was a few years ago, about 2.5 years ago now. The word hope started showing up, and I don't know if you've had numbers show up everywhere, and you're like, oh, I have to play that number in the lottery, whatever. It was a word for me, and the word was hope. And I was anything I'd hear, the word would be there. I'd read, I'd see on billboards, I'd see in stores. The word hope was everywhere, and I'm thinking, all right, I think maybe I'm supposed to do something with this, but what? But it was such a strong nudge. And I remembered I had this deck of small cards, they're like affirmation cards. Someone had given them to me a while back. And I'm like, I think I have a few, the kind that say, you're a rock star, you're awesome. Those kind, just little cards. So I thought, well, I can hand those out. So I put them in my purse. And whenever I'd go and do errands, I would tuck them in to different places throughout the stores that I was in and be like, okay, that's my nugget of hope. I did that. But then the word started showing up even more. And I'm going, I thought I was losing my mind, because I'm like, what is going on? This word is literally everywhere. And then I thought, no, I didn't think. I realized I was supposed to do something more with it, but I'm supposed to do it person to person. And I'm going, oh my goodness. What, and I'm a person of faith. So I feel very strongly that God was nudging me that direction.
Absolutely.
You are supposed to, I want you to approach a person. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's, people are going to think I'm crazy or a creeper or a stalker or something. And I thought, well, what can I give them? So I got online and looked, and I found these little nuggets of hope online. So I bought a whole bunch of them. They're polished stones with the word hope engraved in them in gold. And this one is one I keep on my desk, and I constantly have it in my hand, like a worry stone. And I found these. And so I thought, all right, I'll start carrying a few of these around with me and dropping them off around places. But then the first time I was out with them, it was so strong. The nudge was so strong. I was walking down an aisle and there was an older lady, and it was just bam, she needs nugget hope today. And I just went, oh gosh, okay. And then I got all nervous. I'm going, what am I supposed to say to her? She's going to think I'm a crazy person. And then I just took a deep breath and said, Kim, just do what you're supposed to do. So I grabbed a nugget, had it in my hand, approached this older woman, and she was just standing there staring at the shelves, kind of like, I don't know if you've ever had those moments when life is really hard and it doesn't matter where you're at. All of a sudden, you're just stopped in your tracks because you're like, I can't even decide what kind of noodles I need. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I have. And I recognized that look on her. And so I approached her very quietly and came from her side. I never come up on people's backs. Came from her side and I said, excuse me, ma'am. I held out my hand. I said, I would love to give you a nugget of hope today. And she held out her hand to a complete stranger. I gently placed it in her hand and I just said, I wish you a blessed day. And I turned to walk away because I don't think I'm supposed to chat with them. I'm not supposed to ask their story. I'm just supposed to do this. Just give it to them. And as I walked away, I heard her say, oh my goodness, thank you. You have no idea. You have no idea. And I just kept walking away and I got teary-eyed like I am right now. And I thought, that's what I'm supposed to do. And so for the last 2.5 years, that's what I've been doing.
What an opportunity. Oh
and
God.
so I come home and I write those down real quick because the emotion of it is just amazing at times. I mean, I've had people laugh, or I've had people look at me like, who are you? And I've had people give me a hug. I've had people cry. And I had one older gentleman yell at me and swear at me in anger. And I ran the gamut of emotions of doing this. And then I just kept coming home and writing these stories down. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to put these in a book. And I'm also going to put in little tips and things on just being kind, because this world, to me anyway, just becomes darker and darker. And the media and the outside world, it feels like, is trying to suck you into division and hatred and anger and darkness. And quite honestly, I want nothing to do with it. So I told myself, all right, Kim, by the end of this year, which is 2024, by the end of this year, you're going to have this book out called Nuggets of Hope, Cultivate Kindness. And it's coming out in mid-November. And I don't know about you folks, what you see and hear in the news realm, but it's not light. It's all dark. There's nothing happy about it. And I think that whatever I can do, and hopefully my book will be a nugget, and it's going to land exactly where it's supposed to land, on the people it's supposed to land in front of. So,
as you're talking, I'm thinking, how many people could use that as a gift? So how many people I know that I could buy that book for and give to them. So I hope we can help you with getting the word out about, and especially right now on this podcast, it's like, how many people do you know that just need some kindness? And if we're not the ones called to, as you were called to or led to, or however, to be the one to give them the nugget of hope, then we can give it away by giving away the book. So I think that would be an awesome thing, gift. And as we're coming into the holidays, I just can see lots of opportunities for that book.
Well, and being kind doesn't cost anybody anything. I mean, we all have the ability to be kind. I just don't understand why people aren't more kind. Smiling at a stranger. I mean, I try and make myself do that all the time, or compliment a total stranger. I found that I try to do that more now too. Just little things, and that's the type of things that's in the book. Just sharing little things that make your own small slice of the world a better place. I can't change the whole world. I'm just one person, but I can change my small slice of the world for better. And can you imagine if everybody did that? What a different world we'd live in.
Well,
Absolutely.
I know one person on this show, and we're not going to name names, that will be getting this book for Christmas. Just one person. No.
Oh, that must be me.
Sandy.
Sandy guessed it. Oh, man.
Well, I wanted to ask you, because Kim, are you a veteran?
I am, yes.
Okay, because I knew that. I saw that you do a lot of work with veterans. I did see that you had PTSD or have it. I don't know if it's something that you had or always have. So I wanted to see if you yourself were a veteran. So thank you for your service as a veteran for this country. And as we're coming up to, November the 11th, and, that is the time when we do recognize and honor and the service that our veterans are to this country. And so thank you for that. I really do appreciate all the people that have sacrificed by doing that. So, what are your plans for getting the word out about this book?
Well, I'm just going to tell everybody I know.
How many people do you know, Kim?
I know a couple.
Okay.
What I'm doing I'm just, doing things like this, chatting with folks like you and using my social media. And I'm having locally, I got a handful of local authors together, and we're all doing a book signing. So I'm looking forward to that, because where I live, that's not something that's typically done. And I think in where I live, where people don't realize just how many authors there actually are, and what it is they do and why they write, why are they doing this? And so trying to do that just in my small local area. So just I'm going to watch it grow as it's meant to grow, I guess.
And I want to introduce you to an author that's in your general area, maybe not real close to you, but he does a lot of that same thing. And David Baylog is very good about gathering groups of authors and doing something. So
awesome.
I know he would love your book. He lost his wife a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And so he is just absolutely, like you, very heartwarming just to even talk to him. So I want to introduce the two of you, and I think he could also, you could spread out your group of authors in a little bit more of a geographical thing, I think, that way. So
I love meeting other authors. I get such a kick out of it.
Yeah, me too. I love it. So, future plans, future books, do you have any? Or are you just taking it one step at a time?
This is, one step at a time. This has been a busy year, because I'll have 2 books out this year. So that was kind of busy for me.
Oh, one of the Paw books came out this year?
Yeah, Paw Prints on the Kitchen Floor just came out in August.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that recent. Very good. Yeah. Congratulations.
And so, I was two books maybe is kind of a lot. I know other people that do more than that, but for me, it was, I don't know what next year. I think I've got one more Paw Prints book that I want to do, because I want to turn it into 3. So it's a series. You got 2 out, make it 3, turn it into a series. And so
I think it's going to be Paw Prints on where?
Probably on the porch.
Oh, the porch. Okay.
Paw Prints on the porch.
That sounds great. That sounds really good.
I was thinking of schnuff marks on the back window. Because my back seat and window of my car is nothing but schnuff marks. But then I was like, nah, doesn't flow off the tongue as well as Paw Prints on the porch. So
I do like that. I do. So Dexter is your office manager. Is he the one you write about more than any of the others? Or?
Russell, we can't hear you.
He's being very quiet.
I know. No, I can't hear you.
Oh, he's muted.
No.
There.
Is your headphones plugged in?
Is your volume turned up?
Russell has gone mute. Oh my.
He's gonna go out and come
And
back
now
again.
he's
He's
gone.
abandoned us. He has abandoned us. No, he'll come back. I'm
So I had
sure.
a similar problem for several weeks. I couldn't hear anybody. So I couldn't
Yeah.
be on. And then I
That's
just
funny.
found out my volume was turned down.
Oh, it was
I thought it
hilarious.
was a major technology thing I needed. So
There he
Russell,
is.
say something.
I'm back.
There you
Oh,
are.
no. Yay!
Kim, would you tell the listeners a little bit about your podcast and you have a different hook than we do. And when you had me on, you actually caught me off guard a little bit with it. And would you talk about that little hook and what you do with it?
Well, the name of my podcast is called Let Fear Bounce. And we talk about fears. And a lot of times, for however it's worked out, for whatever reason, I'd say 90 to 95% of my guests, and that's over 300 now, have been authors. And I always say, you know, the last 5 minutes, we're going to chit chat about your book and where they can find you. But prior to that, I want to hear about any fears that you've had to face or overcome to get where you're at today. And at times that does throw people off a little bit, even though they see the name of the podcast. Sometimes they're like, I've never talked about this before. And I've had some guests that have literally never spoken of a specific fear that they've had before until being on the show. And it's to me, that's very humbling that someone feels comfortable enough, even though it's going out to the world potentially, you know, but they feel comfortable enough talking to me to share that. And I'm ridiculously empathetic. And
Yes, you are.
And I can feel people's stuff coming, you know, and so I don't know. I enjoy getting to know. That's when I say when I enjoy talking to folks and especially authors, because we all kind of live in a different little world, don't we? I mean, everybody on here is an author, and you have to dive into a different world when you're writing. At least I do. And so, you know, and I've always got ideas in my head, or I got, you know, people up there talking a lot. You know, you just got stuff going on. You know, and I've so many fiction authors, their characters are constantly talking to them.
Yep.
Or, you know, they'll be like, I can't even finish dinner because, you know, she came in and told me she was going to do this. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, plot twist. I wasn't planning on that. You know, so it's kind of, I love talking to the authors, but I want to find out what got them where they're at, why they're writing what they write, you know, and everybody has faced a fear or has a fear. Every single person. And some are bigger than others, but okay, I can't say that because everybody's fear is very, very valid. And to them, it's huge. And I understand that. And fears come in many different forms, you know, and if I can help someone face that fear, because, you know, you got to face it so you can kick it to the curb. You got to kick its ass. That's all there is to it, you know? But yeah, that's just a little bit about what the podcast is about. And I started it because it was at the beginning of the pandemic when the world was insane. Well, it still is, but the world closed. Let's put it that way. The world closed. And I was one of those people that was stuck at home. You know, I had lost my job because the doors closed across the country, across the world. And there was nothing but fear being thrown at us from every angle. And it made me angry. I'm like, all right, you can't turn on the TV. You can't listen to the radio. You can't read something online, blogs, whatever. It was all fear, fear, fear. Don't leave your house. Don't do this. Don't breathe. Don't be near your family. Don't be near your friends. Do this. You have to get this. And I was like, no. And then I thought, since I'm home and I got nothing else to do, what's this podcast stuff all about? I had no idea what a podcast was. So I Googled it. And 2 hours later, I recorded my first episode, not having a clue what I was doing. And so been doing it ever since, and have had over 300 guests now. So it's just been a blessing.
How do you get your guests? How do you find your guests?
At the beginning, this is what's kind of fun. And I'm sure everybody here can resonate with it. At the beginning, I was reaching out. I reached out to people I knew. And I had entered or gotten in a couple of online networking groups. So I was with people from all over the world. So I started just, hey, you want to be my guest? I'm new at this. Blah. So it started like that. But then probably around year 2, the beginning of year 2, people started reaching out to me. And now I regularly each week have 2 to 3 emails from publicists saying, I've got a great guest. If you would like to consider this person. So I don't have to look for them anymore, which is really, to me, it's really exciting, because I was like, that was so much work.
And how long has it been? How many years have you had the podcast?
2020.
Oh, 2020. Okay.
So yeah, 4 years. 4 years now. Jeez. Time flies.
Wow.
So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I enjoy it. And I've been, oh my goodness. And you all have been in the same realm. The people that you meet are just, it's just amazing. The people that you get to meet and find out what it is that they do. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one out there trying to do this or trying to do that, and the lessons learned and the tears shed, just fun.
Russell, did you have any other questions for Kim?
Well, I would love to hear more of the detail why the old man was so upset when you gave him my Hope Rock. I've been dying. There's like, you mentioned that, then you went on. I was like, wait. There's a story there.
There is a story, and it's in the book, Nuggets of Hope.
Then don't tell it.
I love it.
They can get the book.
That was good, Kim. Very good.
Job.
Yeah, that was a tough one, actually, Russell. That was, I will share this. When I got to my car, because he took the nugget, even though he's yelling and swearing at me. Without fail, every person I've approached has held their hand out and accepted the nugget. Without fail, which blows my mind if you think about it. I'm a total stranger. And he did take the nugget and put it in his pocket. And he had to have been mid to late 80s. So I got back to my car, and my heart hurt so bad for him. I just started sobbing. Mm-hmm. And it still works me up when I think about it, because he was such a hurting soul. And whatever it was that caused him to just explode, I thought, I'm supposed to stand here and I'm just going to take it. I'm not taking it personal. But if he needs to throw this stuff out, I'll catch it for him. So yeah, you have to read it in the book. It's a good story.
That is a great way to end an interview. Good job, Kim.
It is, Kim.
Well, Kim, would you tell us where people can find your book, podcast, more about you?
Whose dog?
Mine.
Sandy's.
That's a rat. That's not a dog.
I've always had big dogs, large dogs, like 80 to 110 pound dogs. And the Chihuahuas, which I think all animals are wonderful, but it's so funny because to my dogs, it's like, that's breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
But to my dog,
I say that with love.
To my dog, the Chihuahua, he would think your dog is his breakfast too.
Exactly.
Big bag,
Sure.
Yeah. The personality of a Chihuahua.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is the boss of the house, believe me.
I love it.
And
He's
the
a great
little one,
Dane.
the new one, thinks he's the boss. So we are having a little bit of a, top of the mountain kind of game.
You're giving me a headache now.
I love it. So Kim, tell us where people can go and find everything about you. I catched on to Russell there, and he was about to, just do Russell's stuff. So.
Okay. So the easiest place to find me and everything that's going on is my website, which is KimLenglingAuthor.com. You can see my podcast on there, the books that are out, what's coming up, what's going on, meet Dexter because, if you want to contact me, he's the one that's going to let me know, hey, there's a human trying to talk to you, Mom. So he lets me know because he is the office manager, of course, and he has this little page on the contact page. That's the easiest place. But from a podcast, it's on, any listening platform, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all of that stuff, all of those different places, wherever you listen to your stuff, that's where you can find it. And let's see.
And you have journals too on your website.
We do have journals. Yeah. That's just something. And I don't really talk about them much just because that's kind of just something fun I like to do. And it's nothing that I really broadcast, but I just made a planner.
Oh, wow.
And this is obvious. It's not out yet because it says, not for resale, but I did it because I wanted to do something all nature, with
Fun.
birds and soft colors. So each day as you're planning out your day, all those soft colors, it's a calming thing. You don't have to get all worked up, even though your day might suck and you hate going into work. You can at least start that first couple minutes with a calm in front of your eyes, calm colors. That was my thought.
I love it. I love it.
I do too.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, if I don't wrap us up, which I don't really want to end after Kim and her, patience that she learned and, had to absorb this guy yelling at her because I can just see myself going off. Patience is not always my thing.
Amy can go off, Kim.
I can too.
Yeah.
I can too.
I love it. I love it. But you guys, I will end with this. Just food for thought on this. I'm going to buy Kim's book because I know someone outside of myself that needs hope. So you guys all know our dear friend, Greg Kelso. He passed away in his 1 year, not even anniversary, but his 1 year since his passing was last Thursday or Friday. And me and Greg's mom have been bringing each other kind of consolement in that. Greg's Comic-Con that he wanted has not happened because I cannot find myself to go to a Comic-Con without thinking of Greg. So I'm going to buy Kim's book. And if you feel, enthralled or need to do that just to help spread hope with people that are having hard times, especially now with all these hurricanes that have happened and devastation that has happened, I encourage you to go and do that and check out her website. I know we all need hope at some point, and I don't want to face my fears, Kim. So I'm proud that you have a show where you face your fears. It's great, and I love it.
Well, Amy,
love it.
Amy, then you need to come on my show.
Oh, well.
Amy would be great at your show. And
God.
please let me come on just to type on comments as your show is going on.
No.
Well, it's on YouTube.
Terrible.
It's on YouTube as well. That's what I was forgetting. It is on YouTube as well. So you could comment all you want. No, Amy,
Don't
it's
tell
an
him that.
open invitation. Open invitation if you'd like to be my guest.
Don't tell Russell that. Oh my gosh, that is just terrible. But you guys, just food for thought. We all need hope in our lives. We all know somebody that needs hope in our lives. So if you feel inclined to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm telling you now. And I don't ever tell you that on air, but I am going to do that. I feel like there's some people in my life that need it, and I need it right now. I've struggled a lot with Greg's passing. It's been really difficult for me. So I have struggled a lot. And the holidays are coming up, which is equally just as hard, right, for a lot of people.
Right.
So I will leave you with all of that. But as always, you guys, we do hope that you have a wonderful Monday and a great rest of your week. Okay. And until next Monday, bye for now, everybody.